Good day to everyone. I am Matthew Asistio, and today I'm going to discuss about the topic that I have, which is communication to visual arts. So, to begin with, I would like to introduce first myself. I am Matthew Asistio. I am 19 years of age and I live in Sanon Village, Bangkal, Davao City. I graduated my both junior and senior high school at Daniel Aguinaldo National High School at the strand of humanities and social sciences. I pursue the course of Bachelor in Science and Criminology because I would like to be one of those admiring and inspiring police officers securing and protecting the land. That's why I would like to be one of them. So my professor in G20 code 7373 is Sir Rodrigo Sasa. And now I would begin with the topic that I have, which is communication to visual arts. So in introduction, we all know that our eyes are the most important sensory organ. They are the only organs located visibly on our body's surface. Seeing is often synonymously for observing or understanding. We know that the human senses are our contact to the environment. By far the most important organs of senses is our eyes. According to some sources that we perceive up to 80% uh, of all impression by means of our sight. And if other senses such as like taste or smell would stop, it is the eyes that best protect us from danger. That this is why seeing is very significant for us. So, in the introduction to communication and visual, we argued that seeing is a kind of reading, much which makes us of particular in technologies and various skills in training, selecting, editing, and decoding the visual material that surrounds us. Perhaps no one really needs finely honed skills to function in the ordinary senses as visual as a visual being. Indeed, most of time, people get along just by relying on habitual ways of seeing and making sense of what they see, which I truly agree with this because most people get along. As what stated here, most people get along just by relying on habitual ways of seeing and making sense of what they see. I also believe in a saying also that uh, to believe is to see is to believe because when we see things, it makes sense for us and makes the things understandable because we're able to see the things that we need to seek to understand. That's why. So visual literacy in contrast is a very complex practice which demands more than just everyday practices. It requires specific skills in the process of seeing and reading the relationship between representation and reality, and the ways in which visual experiences are also most of communication. So, because of complexity the principle and process of perception have engaged the attention of scholars across history, the Western culture, and also in this discussion and in this chapter, um, we can uh, we can uh, identify the central ideas of why they decodes the text in particular ways and how the truth effect for reality and visual experiences works to communicate ideas and ideologies with culture. So CE So to proceed with is the seeing the subject. So seeing the subject is on the one hand an automatic physiological function we perform without thinking, and on the other a complex and absorbing process. Eyes in particular fascinates us. They are the windows to the soul. Parents tell their children to look me in the eye as proof that they are lying. Lovers and flirters use eye contact to seize, hold, cherish the object of their desire. So the seeing subject. So from the word itself, the seeing subject. So we can determine things in seeing. So that's what I have understand. So according also to this is parents tell their children to look me in the eye. So most of us in our parents usually tells us when we have something, there is something wrong or there is problem in such ways. They tend to tell us that hey, look at me to my look at please um, look at the eyes. What's the problem? And especially for um, those who have relationships or dealing with um, leading to their loved ones. They tend to do eye contact to express their concern and to address their feelings that they are serious in such things. That's why seeing the subject. So this is why um, uh, it is um, important that also through seeing uh, we can determine the subject or what's the main concern uh, of such concern that we are trying to relate on in such ways. And writers, philosophers, and social scientists have long wrestled with what it means to be seeing subjects, human beings whose feature characteristics are that they access the physical and intellectual world through vision, seeing and making sense of what we see, was neither simple nor natural. Indeed, the art historian Bates Lowry notes that our ability to see is similar to ability to speak, which I truly agree also because um, ability to see is similar to ability to speak. When we see, we tend to understand things. And when we tend to understand things, that's how we ability to speak what we have understand through the information that what we see. So that's why uh, seeing the subject through seeing is very significant. So the next is seeing and sense. Seeing and sense. So it has stated here that um, despite this theoretical emphasis on visuality and has identity, there is considerable anxiety about what it means to access the world visually rather through literally means. The media routinely runs scare stories about declined literacy levels and lard this with complaints that true young people might be very competent in dealing with video games, movies, televisions, and graphic novels. They don't read novels, poems, newspapers, and therefore they have lost a precious skill. So I think it would be because of the evolution or the innovation that we have through technologies. We tend to focus on visual things because um, we are comfortable in somehow in things like that, especially in such things like information. we tend to be comfortable and um, adapt the information to television rather than reading newspapers because it is easier for us to watch rather than somehow reading a long essay or a long article. So instead, because of evolution or innovation, um, things comes easier for us, especially in information and also in things that we habit like video games, movies, and graphic novels. We tend to do it visually rather than reading novels, poems. As I think as generations goes by, also um, the gap is really big for us to determine that um, evolution really comes on in this time. That because of the improvements that we have, we tend to rely on visual things. So we tend to give the focal point in visual, but thus we must not forget the importance of reading because reading is very a precious skills, a very precious skills rather. So it's not just tabloid editors, educators, or frustrated parents who sense that society is becoming increasingly visual because, as what I've said, because of technology, innovation of technology. So many theorists have weighed into this argument too. Nicholas Mirzoff, for example, expresses a widely held view when the writers that modern life takes place on screen. Human experiences is now more visual and visualized than ever before. Mirzoff of 1999. So, of course, this is not a fact saying very much because Mirzoff, am I correct pronouncing this? Mirzoff does not point out precisely what he means by visualizing or visualized experience and how it might be different from the visualizing and visualized experience of people in other times and culture. All human beings have always lived in a world that is packed with visual objects and phenomena and have always looked at and made sense of the things about them. So, the early cave paintings are testament to the importance from the beginning of textual human history, of seeing and reflecting on what we see. Also, Mizov does argue through that the material we know view is far more complex than the sorts of objects and phenomena that characterize the visual domain of earlier centuries. So also also tells that all multiple association of sounds and movement with purely visual phenomena which film and digital technologies enable urban landscape to are packed with visual images, building designs, advertising, billboards, the many shapes and colors of vehicles, store windows, mailboxes, cash points, traffic lights, and so on. So you can see truly uh, the innovation of technologies that we have today from print media to print media um, s- um, to print media to visual and to things that makes people easier to um, to collect information as well. This is why also um, it was stated earlier that people are very competent in dealing with visual things because as what I have said that um, they are more comfortable in such ways because technology is improving and innovation really is ongoing to make people uh, or to make things easier and faster. So that would be the sense, seeing the sense. So it's time for evaluation. So five questions here, and this question was explained earlier. So function function to perform without thinking, and on the other, a complex and absorbing process. Number two, means to access the world visually rather through literary means. Three, give example in seeing the subject, like what I have expressed earlier about seeing the subject. Then the complaints about young people. What was the complaints about young people? And for your own perspective, can you give a one word? How can you define visual world today? So that would be it. Thank you for listening. So I am Matthew. Assist you. Good day and have a blessed day.